let me introduce our last speaker of today's session on mobile. It's Mrs. Kamila Dulska speaking about contracts with publishers. Let's welcome her warmly.
Sorry for my rusty English a little bit. Hopefully I won't screw this up very much. However, this mainly mobile panel, my speak will be in general about publishing agreements. However, I won't talk about much details, rather in general, what to look out for, what stupid things you shouldn't do. Hopefully you will listen. First of all, why do devs need them? In general, what is the purpose of an agreement? It's the easiest one, I think. However, usually you, as the devs, forget about it. You need to publish your game, and that's the reason you reach for any publisher. It doesn't matter, is it Polish or is it from another country. And the second main question is, what is it that you want to achieve? In my opinion, after a lot of talks with you, it's the best possible promotion and sales. It also doesn't matter if you are targeting only other markets or Polish or whole world. It doesn't matter. Your purpose is to have the best possible sales and gain as much money as you can possibly imagine. Hopefully, every one of you. That's why we have the next question. Why do you need the agreement in writing? As you know, in Polish law, you can also have an oral agreement. Most of the agreements that we are dealing with in regular basis are oral agreements. But everything what is in writing secures you, secures us, secures your interest. This is why you want it. You really don't want to have to talk to another person, even a simple email, which isn't a writing form. Polish law doesn't recognize it as a writing form. But even though the simple email from right person is something you can, rely on and talk about later, have an argue about anything. That's why always your publishing agreement must be in writing. Because what can possibly go wrong? Everything. Really? I know that may be silly and it's like the worst answer possible, but that's the truth. Everything can go wrong with your publishing. In general, I have the situation with the money trouble for the publisher, even though they were extremely careful, but things happen. There always may be some things that you don't think about, that you cannot even imagine at the moment. You are thinking 2 years ahead, 3 years ahead, and in 2.5, 3.5, you get like, oh shit, what's going on? I don't even know. Lack of press coverage for publishing agreement, especially if you are trying to go abroad, which we know that you are because Polish market is like almost nothing, unfortunately. If you don't have press coverage, you are in deep. I won't say in what, but also lack of promotion, even a good press without anything that is around it, a good promotion of the other markets, it's not enough. So when you have the agreement in writing, you need to take care of those few things. Because the biggest problem, in my opinion, even though when you have all these things in writing, statements are as good as you imagined it will be, you can have troubles with your team on the publisher side. Lack of professionalism, lack of will, because I don't know, the person that was dedicated to take care of you said, I don't like it. So, okay, let's do the minimum. So the agreement will be fulfilled. We just don't give up anything. So go. We will do as not much as we can, but hopefully you will just get along with it and we won't do anything. So the next question, because really, yeah, that's the question that I got. The size really matters because I've got this agreement. It's like 3 pages. I think it's okay. Could you check it out? And I was like, what? What do you mean 3 pages? Like, first page usually is an introduction, and the last page is last few sentences about how many copies of the agreement, which town you should go to court if you will have to, or something like that. So 3 pages, okay, no, that's not the deal. Because what is the risk of every contract? If it's too short, you won't think about something. You can just forget. You won't be able to, put everything because it should be as short as possible because, less bureaucracy and we are friends, we trust each other, we'll be okay. No, it won't. However, if you are going the second way, you want to do it very specific, long, like 40, 50 pages. I saw one like 57 pages or more even. Then you have another trouble, a trouble with so narrowing it that in fact you won't have any other option than do only what is written in this contract. The best example for it is when you want to specific platforms where your game will be distributed. Usually you put the most popular, like Steam and GOG. But if you won't put before it word, for example, that means that your publisher can publish your game only on those 2 platforms. But when you put those few words that will narrow that this is only the example of the platforms that you can publish your game, that means that you can publish it out on every other platform. So now it depends what you want to achieve. If you want to sign a contract only for one or a few platforms, only for PC or only for console, that's okay, because you are aware of it, you want only those platforms you want, but sometimes, really sometimes, people want in general publishing an agreement for every possible way, for every possible platform, for PC, for console, and stuff like that, then you need to be careful. However, there's always a third way. Even though when you are not too specific or you are not narrowing too much, you can have a gap. It's unfortunately human mistake. You can forget about something. Some things won't cover one another, and well, that's why you are reading it, always. Your lawyer should read it, you should read it, and you should think about it, not just reading to find some literal mistakes. Because there is always a third option in law, there is always a gap, there is always a loophole you may fall into, so you have to be careful about that. The worst case scenario is when party can be unable to fulfill the terms of the contract, and it doesn't matter if it will be willingly or not, because, I don't know, lead can broke his hand. He didn't want that, probably. Or, I don't know, some teams just had an argument and one said, okay, I'm off. It doesn't matter. That's the risk of every contract, even in a regular basis, not even written contract, just human-to-human interaction. That's the problem. You won't be able to do something because if you have financial troubles and you didn't pay your bills, so you won't have electricity. I know that's extreme stuff, but yeah, you may have it like this. And force majeures, so-called act of gods. Usually my lovely devs are laughing when I'm writing it, but this is extremely important because you cannot predict floods, wars, military actions, epidemic, anything that you cannot have any influence on. There's like this 1 or 2 beautiful statements in your agreement that if anything like this happened, you won't be reliable, you cannot rely on anyone else and stuff like that. It's okay. You won't be responsible for not fulfilling the agreement, and after that things will pass. You should just try once again to renegotiate some parts of the agreement, usually the term of the agreement, and try to, fulfill it once again. That is very, very important, because otherwise, if your publisher is, for example, from another country, he really doesn't bother if you had some troubles, if you had flood in Poland, if you had some, I don't know, heavy rains or anything like that. Anything that may become very hard for you because you won't be able to work for a week or so. But for him, it's like, okay, you didn't give us a milestone. Sorry. Sorry, guys, that was the deal. You didn't do it. So, in general, you can divide legal risks within every published contracts into different kinds. Rules applicable in the country in which the contract is subject to. So if you, and this is the base for you, you are from Poland, that's why you are forcing that your contract will be subject to Polish law. Because of many reasons, and the most important is that probably you won't be able to pay for a legal advice in another country. Poland isn't that expensive country to take care of your business. You are earning in zlotys. That's why, saying, yes, 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 I have no problem, law of California, perfect. No, it's not perfect. It's in fact the worst thing you can do. It's like when I see law of California in agreements, like, okay, thank you very much. You need to take a lawyer from the United States. He will take care of it. You don't have to pretend. It's nothing to be ashamed of. We live in Poland. We do our businesses in Poland. Polish law is the law that obliges us, and you need to stick to it. The second kind of risks are terms and conditions in written or contract. So the things that I will be mainly focusing in this speech. So if you by mistakes sign anything that is not good for you, you will have probably some troubles, especially if you are trying to, I don't know, quit your agreement or just have some troubles with publisher. That's why you need to be careful. You need to really, really, really read everything that you are signing. It's like you don't take loans without, reading your agreement first. The same with publishing agreements. These are agreements for long terms, for big money usually. Because, even if you are a small company, even if your project is a small project, even if you need only, I don't know, 100,000 zlotys, if it's only 100,000, then why do you need a publisher? The fact that you are gaining publisher means that you need those money and you don't have any possible way to have it by your own. That's why you cannot any time say that this money aren't that important, aren't that big. That's why you always need to read it. Within IP, well, that's my opinion. License it or sell it. Always license. Always. Never sell it. Because, as I wrote, you don't want to sell it away like forever. Because selling is selling forever. It's not selling for some period of time. You are giving away your work for years. Your work, your team, everything. You won't have right to do anything with it. You may not like what the new owner will do with it. You have some visions, you want to do something with it, stick to it. If really, license is for a limited period of time. In Poland, in general, you may say, 3 ways. You have this limited period of time until 5 years. That's the shortest possible way. You can have unlimited license, so it's just unlimited. You won't even write, is it more than 100? It's just unlimited. The fact is that if you want to terminate it, you have at least 1 year notice or more. And there is, it's not maybe a problem or a misunderstanding. However, in Polish Act, there is this one rule that say that after 5 years, even the license for a limited period of time became an unlimited one. However, there is a discussion that, in fact, that really means that you have still limited licenses, like, for example, for 20 years or so. However, within the terms of noticing it, you are doing the same as with unlimited license. It means that if you want to notice it, you need 1 year. It's usually 1 year at the end of the next full year. So if you want to quit your license and you are now giving a notice, so it will be enforced probably at the end of the next year. However, there are some ways to sign it another way in a contract. You can even give a longer period of time. It always depends on the money, of the scale of the business. If it's only publishing or a game, or is it also a lot of PR marketing stuff, full global trend market, stuff like that. So you just need to think about it, like business way, no feelings, no at all. Just what do we need, how much money, for how long, how much they will do for us. What if they want to quit license because they decided that they have no interest in it at any time anymore? So that's for you to decide, because you can always negotiate. I know it's hard to say no. In Poland, gaining an investor or gaining a publisher, it's quite tough. However, it became really much more easier last year than it was like 2 years ago, in my opinion, of course. Probably you have others, but I can see that the scale is growing and people are more and more happy about it, thankfully. But you can always negotiate. I know it's money, and usually, I'm sorry. I hope I won't, bother anyone. But I saw that usually Polish devs go to publisher at the end when they have money trouble, and they know that they won't be able to fulfill anything more without a publisher, without the support, without the money. So that is usually a problem during the negotiations, because your position is weaker. If you think about it, if you start to negotiate some things, for example, half a year before you will be, at the edge with your money, with your colleagues, with all the business stuff you have, your position is stronger. You don't have, a knife on your throat, and you can talk on a regular basis. You are not forced to make immediate decisions. You can even ask some friend. If you don't have money for a regular lawyer, go to some friend who ended law, and it will be better, really. It's like another pair of fresh eye that will look, and he'd say, like, I don't like this one, I don't like this one, we need to decide on this. If license, how? First of all, paid. This may sound silly, but I had a few contracts where everything was beautiful, however, they forgot to establish the price for license. So, of course, there were some costs of tantiums after that, but still, it was like, where is this, fee for license? It should be always paid license. I also think that limited time is the best possible way for you, because of two things. Either it will be a great success, and maybe you will wish to have another publisher, better terms and conditions. Then you can either quit that one, or you can just try to renegotiate. And within the limited time, you usually can have shortest notices. Until 5 years, it can be shorter than if it's a license for 20 years or so. Limited area. For me, this is also important, because not always reaching global market within the first agreement is a good stuff. If your publisher is very good with EU and America, and this is his main land that he's focusing on, and he has PR coverage there and everything like this, okay, go for it. Do North America, do EU, but don't do China, don't do Russia. Because what for if he cannot reach any press there? You can find in a time another publisher, or you can, after that, renegotiate your contract. Even leaving all the rest of the terms and conditions the same, but to change only the area. That's no problem, and really they won't say no, probably. Specified platforms, of course, like PC, consoles, mobiles. This is also important, because I have one client that almost signed an agreement. We were talking for like 2 weeks about it, And when I saw the contract just before he was about to give it back, and I said, oh, so you decided for consoles also? And it was like, no, 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 it's only PC. And I said that, no, you have all consoles in here. You have consoles in general. So everything will be in it. If you want to specify it, specify. But just don't leave it like this. It's too wide to understand. There was no problem because probably this was either misunderstanding or the publisher hoping, where they were hoping that he won't notice it. But they just, I think they didn't even print it once again. They just, use a pen and write it once again, sign next to it, and it was just the PC, not other consoles. Also specified platforms of distribution. This is what I said earlier. Not only either you want someone who will cover everything, or you just specify the most popular or those that you want to target it. I had a client who was focusing mainly EU and Asia. They've got really good publisher that has quite nice contacts with Asia. And because we weren't able to think about any new platforms that may pop out, especially in China, which, as you know, is quite dynamic. We just decided that in EU, the platforms of distribution will be specified, and it was, the most popular ones. However, there was like second point where we stand that for Asia and China market, these are the examples of the distribution platforms, and if any new pop-outs and they will be able to have their account over there, they will just immediately put, of course after localization, put the game over there. That was their decision because that was the goal for them, to go mainly on Asia market. And of course boxes or digital. This is also important because usually when we say, okay, so we want PC and we want it to go on Steam, it's great, but still you can have box with Steam code. So we need to say if you want also box edition or not. Profits and royalties. That is always problematic because it's a money, that's first of all. Usually devs don't have established companies. Unfortunately, especially most of the indies work as a teams, but they don't have their own companies. They are just co-working in a free time and doing it. So there always will be a moment when you need to sit down and decide what to do, how to divide royalties, which means that in fact you need to establish either someone's work was worth much more than some of the others from the team, or you divide through the whole team the same amount. You need to specify them in agreement. You need to say that this person takes 10%, this person takes 20%, this 15%, and this 5%, for example, and the pizza guy will take 1%. But you need to do it. This is very unpleasant, and if someone approached me and yesterday they said, oh, that they get this good idea, we will try it, we will do it, we will be, having a meeting next week or so, and we will start it. Okay, and I was like, okay, great, but are you starting your own company or something like that? No, come on, it's like, something extra in a free time and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, so how about the possible profits you will have if you will finish it? Because it's a like short period of time project. And they were like, well, we didn't think about that. But okay, it's like 4 of us, so 25% for each. And I was like, okay, so each and every one of you will be working the same hours on the project in free time. No, of course not, because a programmer, the programmer, but the graphic designer, he won't be probably doing the whole stuff just in the last month or so. And I was like, okay, so why does he is about to get the same amount of money. And they were like, okay, we got your point. Don't be mad. Okay, we'll come back to you. But I think that they talked and there was no problem. Even though if you don't have your own company, it doesn't mean that you cannot sit and write down just the basics of your cooperation. It's like, we are doing this in a free time. I am doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. And if we will ever publish it, we divided profits like this. And that's all. You have some basis. If you establish company later, you can just take it and make it a part of the main deal between you. That's no problem. But still, you can avoid incredible argues later. Losing friends, losing sometimes family. There's no worse than businesses with family, but sometimes you are doing this with a brother, sister, cousin, and stuff like that. The other thing you should think about, however, this is in accordance to publisher, who benefits first? Because usually your publisher gives you some money for PR and marketing, and they can give this money in two different ways. Either they are just giving it, and it's okay. It's like one-time money you can spend on several cases of some kind of PR of marketing, and we don't want this money back. Or we are giving you some other amount of money, but from the first profits that will come, this amount of money will be coming back for us. What does it mean? It means that you probably won't see the first profits. For example, if your publisher gives you 200,000 zlotys only for PR and marketing, you can have a term in your agreement that from first profits, after you pay all the taxes and other things that you cannot avoid, all the money are going to your publisher until the time that it will reach this point of the money that they give you. That's normal. I've seen it in almost every agreement. In fact, I have lately, and I was quite surprised, a few agreements that stated that during this first period of time, until the profits reach some kind of money that they gave for marketing and PR, they were dividing profits differently. 70%, I think, went for a publisher, and 30% went to the devs. And after this amount of money was paid, they just start, dividing it like on regular basis from the contract, like for the rest time of the license. And always, this is thing that you cannot forget, and be harsh about it. Don't be scared to even argue about it with your publisher. Always settles on the basis of account statements. Like Steam, I think once every 3 months give you account statement, how many copies of your game was sold, how many was given back to the store, and stuff like that. It's just, one extra term in your agreement that says that you should have sent within the invoice. It depends on how you will be, how your money will be paid to you. However, this one statement that they always should send to you this account statement is one of the most important, because they won't be able to screw you. It's just fact. It's basic that you can go to court after that. So remember, because a lot of devs forget about it. And in fact, they aren't able to even establish how many copies they sold, because Steam Spy is like plus minus 1,500 copies sometimes. So it's incredible amount. You won't be able to say anything about this. When say no or more money, this is the thing that in my current work, most of the devs, they just pretend it doesn't exist, like at all, because saying no is very harsh. Saying, okay, but I want more money for that is even harder. So usually they just pretend those matters don't exist. So first of all, no hiring terms. I had one situation like this, and I was really furious because agreement said that between devs and their future co-workers, workers, employers, and employers for next few years, you cannot hire anyone who was co-working with them. So, in fact, okay, you have some, free will, you can change your job, but you will have troubles hiring people you want. What if, for example, publishers will say in the future that okay, we are closing up, everyone is fired, but still you have this term, and they couldn't even hire a good PR guy that was leaving that company. This is the term that when you see, you can easily say, okay, no problem, 1 million more. And I'm not kidding. These are the facts. In international contracts, it's million euros even. It's incredibly high. Second of all, preemption. It's right to buy us first, your new project. Never ever do anything like this. It's different with DLC, for example. Because you can have a term and condition in your agreement that says that if you will ever creating a DLC, your current publisher to the main title is entitled to be the first one to talk about publishing it. That's okay. That's normal, understandable, because if title will be good, they would like to really to go further with it. And if it won't be that good or not that good as they expected it to be, they just say okay, no, we are not interested, try another publisher. But never ever give them the right to have your next title just within the first agreement, because let's be honest, your first agreement will be shitty. It will. Because it's always your first agreement. You don't have a strong position to negotiate, or as strong as you would like it to be. So that's why every other agreement probably will be better. So leave this to you. Next 2 points, no max amount of marketing, PR, and other costs, and no minimum amount. That's the thing that is always forgotten, I think. However, I think it's intentional. Because if you don't have maximum amount of marketing and PR costs, but you have the term that is saying that first profits are covering those costs, then believe me, there are cases that the publisher, after 2 or 3 years from releasing the game, is still saying that we are still, taking money for your marketing costs. And they're okay, but how much money is it? Oh, I don't know. So show us account statements, anything. Oh no, you don't have this in agreement. So it's really a few years after releasing the game, and the devs didn't see any, I am saying literally, any money from it. And they won't. Because they are still doing marketing and PR for this game. So the costs are still, coming back to them. And that's why you need to limit it, the maximum amount of marketing costs, and also the minimum amount that will protect you from the fact that they will literally give 10,000 lotus for, I don't know, so press coverage, and they say, okay, I'm done. Because yes, they are done. They done their marketing and PR work. Because you didn't say the minimum amount that they need to spend for you. So they fulfill their contract. And okay, I don't give, sorry, I cannot say that word. But that's the truth, and these are the cases that I've seen. Unspecified marketing and promotions. I usually prepare annexes for it. When you have costs, I'm asking publisher to specify what kind of marketing and PR things they will do. Because I don't know if they say that they will do 10 press coverages. I don't know. They will bought 2 stands and 1 booth, or on 3 global events. Okay. Which global events? PAX, where booth costs hundreds of $1,000s, or Gamescom. It is a little bit cheaper. However, still it's a lot of money, but it is cheaper. Which press? Polish press, international press. It doesn't mean that they have to establish each and every single step they will take during your cooperation. However, either you say that you will have a chance to say no and force them to propose something else, or they will specify it that in that good way that you will say, okay, I'm good with it. The things that aren't written won't screw us up. It's just things that we know can try and take on us. And with my last client, who it's a quite small game, the annex was for 5 pages. So it was quite specified, but not as very much as I would like to. However, there was no risk. They signed it and it's okay. They are fulfilling it. There is no problem. They at least specified that the press coverages will be like 5 in Germany, 2 somewhere else, 1 somewhere else, and stuff like that. Or they specified which press, like different companies and stuff. Sorry, I don't want to, telling much names, because you could think about a few then. And lack of possibility to see accounting documents concerning above mentioned. So the second thing, good publisher will always allow you to look in their account statements. That includes you. That also means that the term in agreement must give them a few days ahead a notice that you want to see it, because they need to prepare it. Because they cannot show you any other devs that they are working with or any other businesses. But yes, there are publishers who had no trouble with it. This is like regular term in a basic agreement. They will show you everything, but give us like 5 days notice or something, because we may be on a PAX, we may be abroad, we may be, I don't know, on a vacation, Christmas, holidays, anything. Lack of provisions that guarantee that you won't be put in one bag with others. This concerning also the before mentioned bullet points means that every one of you probably seen invoice. It has this small place, usually on the bottom of the page, when you can specify what was done. So it is quite important that if they show you those documents, and for example, there will be $25,000 for press coverages in US. Okay, but which company, which press, what kind of coverage? You need to establish that they will avoid putting you in a one bag with other devs, because in fact you cannot be sure then that some of the devs that are smaller aren't just from your money, being promoted. Normally, publishers that I worked with don't have trouble with it. For them, that's normal that they have to have specified invoices, specified account statements. Everything must be, signed for each company they are working with, because the clients demand it. Believe me, it's not a problem. If a publisher is doing it right, that's not a problem. For what can you get money? That's the main question, because usually devs ask me if they can have money also for production or for development. Yes, you can. Tradition for a publisher are either money only for PR or PR and marketing. So the cups, mugs, pens, stuff like that. This is typical, because you ended up or you are ending your game production. So the only thing that you need, in fact, is to publish it and to have a good PR. If you if you have lack of money in the end or even in the middle of the project, yes, there is a possibility to, instead of an investor, had an agreement with publisher that will also finance some kind of development. That also means that that you will have to divide profits and benefits a little bit differently because, of course, they gave you more money. However, you have this possible ways to divide it, depend on what you want to achieve. Either this will be division for the whole agreement or for the part of the time while those costs will be, coming back to the publisher, or any other way you can think of. The only thing you need to remember, it needs to be in accordance with Polish law. But you can say everything, you can establish every possible cooperation, every possible basis of dividing profits and benefits, as long as it's in accordance with Polish law. So don't be afraid to have a fantasy about that. Oh, okay. I think I meant, sorry. So I don't know if you have any questions now or later, because I know it's late and in the showcase will start, I think, soon. Oh, 15 minutes. Oh, nice. I'm almost in my time. This is an email if you want. You can write to me, but please give me some time to answer, because lately I'm not sleeping at all, just working. So thank you in general.
Thank you. Okay, any questions?
You said about some random events that can happen during the development. For example, that the developer missed the deadline. If it's possible, if for example that the developer is dependent on some third-party technology, for example, some servers just crashed and we cannot do something. Can we be insured in such a...
Yeah, usually you have, well, usually, if I write an agreement, I have this term that as long as this, passing the first term was not the result of your meaningful action. It was because, I don't know, a translator was late with his translation for localization, or some other third party failed. This amount of time that they failed for is like adding to your time. So your terms will just be extended for the maybe not unlimited period of time, because there also should be this possible to change, for example, the translator, as I said, if he, makes the time for the time of his work for the third or fourth time. So something like that. But usually, yes, there's no problem. It should be in agreement. It is usually in agreement that everything that was not your fault cannot be used against you to, for example, quit your contract or to take back your, I don't know, fees and stuff like that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so thank you again, and don't miss.